Hey everybody. I know it's like, I didn't realize that camera was going to come on so fast. So I am on tonight. I love going live even though I don't come on live as often as I would like to. But I've been doing these lives with a good friend of mine who is a relationship coach. He does a lot of things. He's the growth coach, and he's here. So we might as well go ahead and let him come on. So we will wait for just a couple of you to jump on. And I know that I have not been live in a minute, but I am committed to coming back consistently. Isn't that right, Growth Coach D?
Yes, ma'am. I so appreciate you for making this happen because, you had an eventful day.
I had a very eventful day, and I appreciate you checking on me, and it just means the world. Welcome, Terry. Welcome, Terry, to the live. And so we are going to get started. One day I would love to talk about what happened in this day, because people need to know about, like, all those O's you put in long day. People need to know how to deal with those, and that those don't have to define the day, but we'll do it another day. So I'm really grateful. But I'm so grateful because not only do you help a lot of people, I was just telling them about you, how you help a lot of people through relationship wisdom, because it's the thing that no matter how many relationships that people are in, it seems like they leave out of that relationship with probably sometimes less wisdom than they had going in. I don't know, what is that about? And I know you love Proverbs. I know you want to get into some Proverbs, and we will do that. And we want to welcome everybody coming on. You guys know who I am. I'm Celeste Curry. This is my page. The reception is kind of interesting, Danny.
It
is.
Is my video fuzzy?
Yeah. It's not acceptable.
I'm gonna experiment and come off of Wi-Fi and then tell me if
let's do that. Hello there, SJ Sade. Okay, if I said that right, I am really, really good. But that's cute, whatever that is. Okay. So welcome. Today we are talking about. I have that actually looks better, Danny.
Well, okay, let's go with it.
Somewhat. Let's do it. Until you move your head, and then it says.
Jesus, be a strong 5G connection.
Just that we want that connection from heaven. So let's go ahead and get started. Though I'm super excited to have you on live. I know I was live with you on your page last week, and that was amazing. Good morning. Watching from the Philippines. Okay. I love it. Tell everybody to join. Anybody that you know that's in a relationship, SJ Sade, I hope I'm saying that right. And my sister-in-law is Filipino. My brother is married to, yes, his wife is from the Philippines. She's been here now about 8 years. And so, yeah, welcome, family, welcome. And so, but we were just getting ready to talk about relationships. We were talking about, because Danny loves Proverbs, I love Proverbs, and we were talking about that wisdom that Proverbs talks about. But I asked you a question, Danny, so I really would love for you to answer it. So why is it that people get into relationships, they have more experience, but they oftentimes leave that relationship if the relationship ends with less wisdom than they had when they got in? Talk to me about that. What do you think about that?
Well, I'll say the first thing is I don't know everything. And I preface that with, in our conversation prior to this. But what I do know, I love to share. And in my experience, we know that relationships are a part of God's original design. We see from the time we have God creating man, let us make man in our image. And God, he created him male and female created he them. For this reason, the man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife. And so it's
Yes.
almost like God, let us three
Yeah.
make man in our image. And so we're relational. We have to have relationships. That's the way God designed them. And just not to go down the rabbit hole too deep, but we see God tells Adam to go and name the animals. And I personally think that Adam is naming the animals prior to having his helpmeet so he can see the mommy elephant, the daddy elephant, the mommy giraffe, the daddy giraffe. And he's seeing that, oh, they got one. Okay, he got. And so it's like, wait, how come I don't have? I need some help too. Like, I can't work by myself. And so God makes Adam fall into a deep sleep, and then he sees this beautiful, just drop dead gorgeous, oh my word, beautiful creature from the hand of God. And I love how the Bible describes how Adam was made, but the Hebrew word that describes what God did when he created Eve is built. The woman was built. God built the woman differently. And it's important to know that when God said, let us make man in our image, in the image of God, he created him male and female. There's a male aspect of the image of God and a female aspect of the image of God. I don't even know what that means. But know this, that in order for us to have healthy experiences in life, God designed us to be able to be in relationship. And we see Genesis 3 comes on the scene, and now we have chaos. The very first thing that happens is Adam and Eve start pointing the finger at each other, and we see this pattern happen.
Coach, is it still happening today? Somebody put in the comments. Is there still blame going on today in relationships? Are people still blaming each other? It was happening in the garden, and we know that story. Snake comes up. Uh-oh. Eve kind of veers away a little bit, and Adam kind of, they make that decision. But when God comes looking for them and asking for them, like you said, they started pointing fingers. So it's still happening today. Have we learned much of anything? So there's so much, Coach, with relationships that they really more often than not don't make it. And I think that's really sad in the believing world. Relationships more often than not are not making it. So how much do you think the blame game that was going on back in Genesis, that's still going on today, how much do you think not being able to take responsibility for your stuff is contributing to the demise of our relationships?
Huge, Celeste. It's absolutely huge, because when everybody's pointing the finger, what gets resolved? Like, just take this one. Yes, you did. No, I didn't. Yes, who's going to win that argument? Like, who's going to win? Where's it going? What's the end result of that? It's tension. And everywhere you see that tension, the reason I went and took a brief tour through the book of Genesis is because we have to understand where the healthy patterns that God has originally designed, how they are intended to work, and then to look at when it goes south, when it's dysfunctional. It's always an enemy at work, and he's always about division and discord, and us stepping outside of what God originally designed, and that's us coming together in fellowship, koinonia, the Greek word, and without taking responsibility for our actions, we're just on this perpetual cycle of just blaming, shaming, running, abusing, neglecting. It goes from bad to worse, and doesn't
so you
really.
said something. You use the word abuse and blaming almost in the same sentence. So a thought just came up. I wonder if blaming and not taking responsibility could possibly resemble closely abuse, or if it can turn into abuse. So, and I really want you to answer that, because I'm going to be honest. I began to grow as a person when I started taking responsibility. Like, so let me tell you, true story. Many years ago, I'm in a relationship with someone and they were just messing up, right? And just doing some crazy stuff. God started telling me to take responsibility for whatever percentage was mine. So it went from he was mostly wrong to, what, Lord? Now, why would you make me take responsibility for mine and apologize? And I was like, okay, Lord, this is on some other stuff. Are you trying to, get me translated here? Like, is this necessary? So when I began to take responsibility and not look at what his part was, I began to grow into a completely different person, had more peace than I ever had before, had more success than I ever had before, because my creativity started improving and increasing because it wasn't focused on foolishness. But what do you think about that? The fact that when I started taking responsibility for my part and not expecting him to take responsibility for his, because the two are separate. Those are two different things. So, all right, Terry said it teaches you humility all day long. But what do you think about that? Like, why do you think that I was growing as a person as I began to take responsibility for my?
Well, I think that it's important to realize that relationships are made up of individuals. And so if you have, a healthy individual coming together with a healthy individual, what kind of relationship are you likely to have?
Yeah.
A healthy relationship. When you have an individual who is unknowingly attracting another unhealthy individual, which that's a whole nother rabbit hole to talk about, what's happening is we have an unhealthy relationship, and it causes us to end up trying to control the other person. You're not gonna do it. You need to, and that's just against the order. God created us as individuals. I don't have the power to control another person, and I'm not supposed to. We have the free choice. Adam messed up when God was like, hey, Adam, where are you? Have you eaten? The woman who you put in, Adam, you chose. You decided. And when we don't know how to control ourselves, we end up dysfunctionally trying to control others. And the only person you have control over is yourself. And the best analogy that I have to describe this is when you're driving. When you're driving, whose car can you control?
Your own.
You can only control the car. You can only steer the vehicle. You can only push the gas and the brake. There's other people out there. Some of them are crazy. Some of them can't drive. Some of them can't see, can't hear, can't this. And what can you do about that?
Yeah.
You can do. And so in life, we take our power back when we understand that I'm in charge of me. And when I understand that power, my power to be an agent of change in my life, me harnessing my power, my ability to choose can change everything that everyone else does and how they relate with and around me. And so we've got to grow to the point where we learn how to take more responsibility. It's natural to get in that blame game, because like the first Adam messed us all up. But the second Adam comes, and he comes and takes responsibility for something that, you know what, that's not my fault, but I'm going to take responsibility.
Isn't that a good example?
And
that's a great example. So what would happen if, now let me take this side. I'm going to do it to you. What if more men in their homes took responsibility, since at the beginning, them being the house band that keeps things together? Now, I'm never saying that women shouldn't take responsibility. I'm about everybody. And that's why, I'm big on taking responsibility for my stuff quickly. Now, what if more men did it? How do you think that would impact homes?
Well, I think that traditionally we have men Well, let me rewind just a little bit.
Okay.
I'm gonna come there in a second. A lot of what I have found in my work with couples, with men, boys, a lot of them have not seen what that looks like, what that sounds like, and
Mm.
so they end up getting and they repeat these patterns that they've seen, and that's very rarely somebody who says, you know what, that's my fault. Hey, I'm sorry for doing that. I
Yeah.
really could have done something differently. But if your question is, what if men learn to take responsibility? The natural thing that occurs when a leader takes responsibility, and I'm speaking from the lens of being a former principal, administrator, when a leader takes responsibility, what happens is the people who he is leading, they're more prone to follow suit with the
Yes.
same disposition. And if I say, you know what, guys, that's on me. I should have done a better job communicating and making sure that we had what we needed in place. What usually happens in that environment is, well, you know what, I could have done such and such too. It's like attitudes are contagious. And we have to understand, is the one that we are leading
Mm.
with worth catching? Is the one that our one that is going to begat, if I can use King James language, the type of disposition that we
Yes.
want in our home? Because if not, are we
Yeah.
doing it? And quote that is from a book. I don't know what the book is, but it's a Toby Mac quote. It's a quote in a song that Toby Mac does. It says, with every interaction, I'm probably messing it up a little bit. In every interaction, we're either giving life
Yeah.
or we're draining it. There are no neutral
Yes. There are
exchanges.
no neutral.
And
Somebody put that in
if
the comments. There are no neutral exchanges. It's either giving life
mm-hmm.
or it's death.
and,
Yeah.
and so when I am taking responsibility, it's building the trust and the confidence that's needed to lead like Christ loved the church. He's the ultimate example, and he's taking responsibility. He's leading in sacrifice,
Yes.
self-sacrifice. And there's a lot of talk about submission. We can go down that rabbit hole, but if somebody is willing to die for
Yes.
me, I'm probably going to listen to them a little differently. I'm probably going to interact with them. And if I know that they're laying their lives on the line, that they're doing what it is that is necessary for me to have a better life, that they're disregarding themselves and considering somebody else's opinion and their needs, like the natural reaction and response is, hey, you know what? This person is giving me their best, everything. I want to. I don't know. It seems to me that the natural reaction and response is for people to follow suit with that leadership. And in the same way, when you get into the argument of when you start pointing fingers, when you start discouraging one another, you end up on that hamster wheel. And it's not, you're expending a ton of answer your question
Yeah.
around the mulberry bush.
Yes, you did. I mean, that was really, really good. I'm just so there's so much that we can talk about with relationships. And I know this live would be 3 hours
Yeah.
long. I would love to talk about different aspects of it because so wisdom in relationships, it didn't dawn on me until we were actually in this conversation that, and I've been a therapist a long time, and I'm just thinking, I'm talking to people that are on their third marriage or have been in many relationships, and there's nothing wrong with being on a second marriage, so that's not what I'm saying, guys, or even a third if you didn't quite get it right.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, though, the only way to know that you're gonna get it right the next time is number one, when you work on yourself and in your own wisdom, not in your own wisdom, God's wisdom, but I'm saying you being filled with wisdom, you're able to attract according to his image, not your brokenness, right? And when you're
That,
able to attract someone, right, and you're not attracting out of your brokenness and your whole. So really a whole plus a whole equals a whole. It's not half and half equals one. That math doesn't quite work with humans.
Math ain't mathing.
Math ain't mathing with the humans. But when you got a whole and a whole, and you get a whole, you produce something completely different. So that, I think, is just a huge part of it. And then when you both take that wisdom into that relationship, it's kind of like the example I usually give in therapy. If you've never heard this, well, when I was teaching a lot of family violence anger management classes, I would give this, because everybody's fighting, right? So I would give this. Not everybody's fighting. I'm saying the people that have come to the class, some of them have had incidents. So what I would do is I would give this example about an orange. It's like you got an orange, you cut the orange in half. Well, because two people want the orange. So the natural thing to do is cut the orange in half. You get half, I get half. But when the communication is effective and there's wisdom from two mature individuals, both can get their needs met. But only if they're mature enough and they're walking in wisdom can this happen. Almost like Solomon and the baby, right? And so but when they communicate effectively, you'll find out that one person was baking a cake. So one person was baking a cake. So she only needed the peel. The other person was juicing, and they only needed the inside of the orange. But without wisdom and proper communication, you got half, and that half you have, you can't do a thing with it.
Mercy.
But had there been wisdom in the midst of this, you would have been able to have exactly what you need. And that's what happens when two people come together and they're whole individuals. Everybody gets exactly what they need, and they understand. I know you were talking earlier. They understand that the issues can be handled when the two of them come together to attack the issue, and not that each other become the issue.
And recognize like team sports. So guys, we understand team sports. You on the same team. How you fighting your team? Like, we have to reframe the whole process of being able to communicate. And that's why, just a quick commercial break, I devoted years of my life to create a resource. It's not that big, it's not that long, but it's so powerful because it helps people to communicate in a way that, is effective, efficient, and non-combative. Because one of my favorite authors, his name is Hendricks, Harbo Hendricks, he says talking can be one of the most dangerous things a couple can do.
Oh, yes.
I'm sure you've witnessed some explosive conversations. And we've all said stuff that it's like, I really probably shouldn't have said that. But what do we do? Like, who teaches us how to have this stuff work? Well, for one, we do have this wonderful resource here where we get wisdom. If any man lacks wisdom, ask God. I just started to see, Celeste, how Proverbs is a book that can teach you emotional intelligence. Like, if you don't know how to interact with people.
Somebody put that in the comments. Proverbs can teach you emotional intelligence, because when I tell you, as a therapist, I have seen so many couples, and emotional intelligence is definitely lacking.
Yeah. That's because we just got.
But not after we work together.
That's it. So I just want to offer, for anybody who knows someone who's trying to make a relationship work better than it presently is, marriagereportcard.com. It's a free tool that gives you the vital signs for your romantic relationships and helps you to communicate. You're able to see a snapshot of what's really going on. Because what you don't measure, you won't change. And you need to just identify these key areas. And I'm going to focus on this one. But I want to encourage you, because every relationship always has room to grow. But it's not just going to fall out the sky, and land in your lap because you prayed in the morning. It doesn't work like that. Prayer does not excuse ignorance. Like, we still have to act in wisdom. So like, I love this platform. I love Celeste and in how you continuously point us through the therapeutic models back to stuff that makes sense. Like, we can do a better job in our relationships when we
Yeah.
understand, you know what? I need to become a better steward of my emotions, of my
Yeah.
experience. I need to.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a whole live. Can we please? I know you're gonna talk about a little bit, but can we do a whole live on that whole emotional piece?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. What vein were you thinking of when like what was it that grabbed you just now?
When you just said it, the way that you said it, and then even thinking about it stems from even that whole thing about emotional intelligence, because the problem is that a lot of people aren't allowing themselves to be aware of how much they're lacking in that area,
Hmm?
which means that their lack of emotional intelligence has become their norm. It's so familiar to them that that is the standard that they compare other people to. It's very, very, I mean, it's detrimental to every relationship. Emotional intelligence is even slightly different from emotional maturity. Like, there's so much to learn. There's so much to learn, but people oftentimes don't master their emotions at all.
Very.
They don't master their emotions. So it ruins every relationship. Like, I wish we could really get into it, but I'm as you can tell, I'm trying to refrain because the live would just be really long. But I think that everybody, please look out, because that's one that Danny and I, with him being a relationship expert, that he and I are going to talk offline about that too. I mean, anything you want to say about it now, Danny, I think is great. At the same time, that deserves its own lane, and maybe we can ask some questions, or maybe even put a survey where they can answer some questions within the live, and based on, and we'll tell them, like, if your answers match this, then this means that this, this is an indication that this is an area where growth is needed. And if growth is needed in that area, this probably came from this area. And you and I can talk that through and explore. Is it mommy stuff? Is it daddy stuff? Is it both?
It's
Is
almost
it maybe
those things, almost always. And if I can just say that we all come with some type of deficit, and that's normal.
Yeah.
You don't have to feel as though there's something wrong with you. There's something wrong with all of us. Some just do a better job of hiding it. Trust me. Like, everything except Almighty God can be improved. But we have to do our part, because God's grace works in us to will and to do his good pleasure. It's never as a substitute, given as a substitute for our effort and what it is that we must acquire knowledge, acquire and apply. We have understanding, and can then steward better relationships and have better, more fruitful lives. Because what is the whole point of being here? It's to positively impact other people. Like, God is love. What is love without relationship? Like, we have nothing if we don't learn how to love. The mere definition of love denotes provocation. Why does the Bible say love is patient? Why? It has reason not to be. Why does it say love is kind? Because stuff's going to happen, and you go, like, we have to get to the point where we recognize that this is what God is calling us to. It is a higher state of existence. It does require a sacrifice, but without being a doormat, we can properly interact with the people who God has placed in our lives. And that is an exhaustless, if that's a word even, discussion. I look forward to unpack that with you, Celeste.
I look forward to unpacking that, and I think that one can be it's going to be really helpful. I'm going to ask you one last question. You ready for it?
Let's go.
I want you to expound on it, but I'm going to ask it. Should everyone be in a relationship? I mean, a romantic relationship.
No, never.
Okay.
Hmm. That,
Why?
I
Why?
think this is my personal humble opinion. Until you learn how to be single and be happy, you have no business getting married. Because marriage is not the happiness jackpot. I don't know who started the lie, but happily ever after does not exist. It belongs in the same
Really?
as unicorns, leprechauns, and mermaids. It does not exist. What does exist is healthy people learning how to have healthy relationships with each other. How do you figure that out? You've got to learn how to be happy and content. God made the man first, all right, then he made the female, and there's a time that singleness is necessary in order for you to figure out who you are, what you like, the things that you are called to do in this world and in this life. We get wrapped up in so many dysfunctional relationships because we're lonely, and we end up in order to solve the problem of loneliness, we end up in so many jacked up situations and scenarios where it's like, okay, if this was the cure, it's like chemotherapy, where it's,
Mm.
I don't know. I could go on. I don't want to go forever, but I believe that the most important thing that we can do is to recognize that it's our responsibility to
Yeah.
become healed. We
Yeah.
may not be the same anymore based on things that
Yeah.
have,
Yeah.
but we can always be made whole, because God
Yeah.
specializes in taking what's broken and make
Yes.
it better than new. Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. And it's interesting because I was working with a client earlier today and share this live, guys, because it's going to end soon. But share it. I was working with a client earlier today, and when I realized how much brokenness, she didn't realize it.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that I shared was, oh my gosh, once the brokenness, see, God doesn't do brokenness. He doesn't see the brokenness and put it back together with these puzzle pieces where you can see where one piece starts and one piece ends. When he deals with brokenness, he puts it together like a puzzle, and then you can't see where one thing starts and one thing ends, because he's just good like that. And so I began to tell her how once she deals with the brokenness, every single one of her relationships will be redefined,
Mm-hmm.
because she's a different person. So none of it's going to work anymore. But and then a lot of relationships don't work because they didn't get a chance to do that in their singleness, like you said. So some people ask me, well, should I just break up with my wife or my husband for a little while to deal with my stuff? I think in extreme cases that separation is very important, especially if there's abuse going on, or sometimes even a whole lot of gaslighting. Like there needs to be a break from it at times.
Yeah.
Uh, but the
I
best
was going to
time,
say,
honestly, huh?
I was just going to add that gaslighting is abuse, in my
It is
humble opinion.
absolutely abuse. Thank you.
Like,
Absolutely. Gaslighting
logical.
is abuse. It is
Yeah.
psychological abuse. But the best time,
Mm-hmm.
I wish that I could get all the single people that have never gotten married in a room. And I wish that we could do that emotional intelligence thing, because they think
Yeah.
that they know it all before they get into a relationship. And it's so heartbreaking that the reason why relationships end is because they were entered into prematurely with emotionally people that don't have true emotional intelligence will refrain from certain
Can
words.
I just, yeah, I'm
Sure.
going to fast forward really. We're getting ready to land this plane, but I think it's so important to understand what I'm sharing. It's in Proverbs chapter 9, and it's a couple verses. It says, whoever corrects a mocker invites insult. Whoever rebukes a wicked man incurs abuse. It says, instruct a wise man, and he will be wiser still. Teach a
Yeah.
righteous, he will add to his learning.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know everything.
Yeah.
And so that humble, teachable spirit,
Yeah.
we need to be able to have that humble, teachable spirit when we're in conversation,
Yeah.
when we are in disagreement.
Yes.
We got 2 ears and 1 mouth, meaning
Yeah.
that we're listening twice as much as we're speaking. And
Yeah.
as we're seeking to learn, seeking to add to our knowledge of what, just little things like what I can do, what,
Say that
what,
again. Say that again. What I can do what?
what I can do differently. And you
Yeah.
always can.
What I can do differently. Absolutely. Because you're the only person that you can change.
That's it. And
Yeah.
that can change everything. Last thing I'm going to say, Celeste, is this. A lot of people look at the great men and women in the world, and they're like, oh, the Martin Luther Kings. And what we have to understand with these, great men and women in the world is the world in which they lived, it wasn't interested in changing. Like, it wasn't like, well, you know what, I'm just waiting on a really strong man who can speak, really powerfully, and then we're going to change all this. No. These great men and women recognize the power that they had in and of themselves. They can't
Mhm.
control anybody, anyone
Yeah.
else, but just being a master of oneself can
Yeah.
change, influence, and impact just the entire world. And so I
Yeah.
want to encourage you, recognize that power. I'm in charge of me.
I'm in
Become a
charge
better,
of charge of me.
can change everything that they do.
Yep. Stay within your circle of control and watch how that circle comes together.
I love it.
Yes. Can
I love it.
be whole. Can be whole.
Yeah. So Celeste, we can't end this live without talking about a few things. You have a book that's coming out, like a whole book.
How dare you, Coach D?
I,
Yes. Thank you, Terry. I'm in charge of me.
mm,
So, yes, I do. I have a book coming out called The Power of a New Narrative. And I look so forward to really talking about that and breaking that down since you brought it up. So, we will definitely talk about that more on the live. But that book, I cover a whole lot of things because oftentimes people need a new narrative in order to walk in a different light. They literally will keep tripping over themselves and tripping. In the book, I talk about how they go up and down the same couple steps, same 2 steps on the ladder of success until they rewrite their narrative, because that narrative, that story gets stuck in replay. You know what I'm saying? I know those of us that are older, you see that. Thank you, Terry. And you see that, that record player, I'm telling my age, and when it skips, it is so very frustrating when that record player skips, right? And you're like, will somebody please just push it? That's the
mm.
same thing that happens with the mind. That old narrative,
Woo!
it just gets stuck, and it's stuck on that same part, and you're not getting free. You're not getting free. You want more. You want success in every area of your life, but you just are stuck. And you oftentimes are stuck in about 5 different places, sometimes more.
Come on.
5 years old, 8 years old, 12 years old, 17 years old, and 19 years old. So you're stuck in all those places at the same time.
And then
But when you go back and rewrite your history,
I said, and then you go and try to get married.
and then you go and try to get married in that narrative.
And wonder,
Father. So
you're like, this new narrative, you guys need to tap in, make sure
yes,
you
the
click
book will be
everything.
coming out September 1st. You will be
Let's
able
go.
to purchase it.
Oh, yeah.
And the new CelesteCurry.com site will be up in a week. So check back. We'll be talking about it too, CelesteCurry.com, and you'll be able to get the book. And there is a devotional coming alongside it that is powerful, that is deep. If you are stuck, if you are not, where you want to be in life, in every area, I show you how to rewrite that narrative so that record player is no longer stuck. With ease on its own, it lifts up and it puts you right where you need to be in life, and the record just continues from there, like almost like it was always the narrative, and you attract and you get everything that God always promised you in that original reference place that he had for you. So thank you for asking about the book. I wasn't going to say anything about the book, but thank you.
No,
The Power of a New Narrative book.
that's right.
and it will be coming out September 1st. Everybody look for it. Pre-orders will be coming soon, but it is really powerful. It is really powerful. And I'll give you the premise for it. You guys look out for the next live. We'll talk, we'll get into it. I appreciate you asking about it, Danny.
Oh yes, we're excited to make sure that this gets into the hands of people whose lives it can change and transform. Because a healthier individual is going to result in a healthier relationship. We're going to be healed from the family trauma. That doesn't mean that we're the same, but we're healed, we're whole, and able to break the curse and those patterns and those, because we're writing a new narrative where God has. Right. Like he did with Joseph, he's weaving in all the mess and created this powerful that is going to be a testimony of his power, his strength, and his ability to turn anything around. Amen. Yeah. This was a fabulous opportunity, Celeste. Thank you so much for inviting me on your platform. And
you are welcome. Thank you, Danny.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I love doing lives with you. They seem like that they can be never ending. But I'm grateful for the opportunity, and I look forward to the next time. Everybody, please share this live with people that you want to grow. Anybody that you love, if you don't love them, send it to them anyway, because they might need a little wisdom.
Amen. And put questions you have in the comments so that that can be something that we possibly look at addressing in a future conversation with you guys. Absolutely. This is great. Thanks so much, Celeste.
Thank you so much, Danny. And everybody, you have a wonderful night, And I just want you guys to know I've just been working with so many clients that have felt stuck. We just want to encourage you, no matter what it is, we need you to know that stuck is not a permanent place at all. It is a place that is oftentimes a beautiful trigger to let you know that you deserve more and that more is available. Woo! And we are here for you guys. So
that's good.
Yeah. Have a wonderful, you guys make sure you go follow Growth Coach D and make sure you follow me as well and share this and comment, likes, and we would love to see you guys again next Monday. And we post all the time now, don't we, Danny?
Yes, with call to actions.
Yes, with those call to actions. Yes, we do, because we care. So, that's right. All right, have a wonderful, wonderful night.
Yes.
And we will see you guys again.
Take care.
Take care.